Welcome to our Shield of the Sun video entitled The Nightmare. In this particular video, we're going to be studying some of the most controversial photographs ever seen that pertains to this aspect known as aliens, alien abduction, or other paranormal and supernatural phenomenon that is described under such terms. However, in the biblical terms, and for those of us who are Christians, we know this to be a demonic phenomenon, a phenomenon that has been perpetrated by demonic entities. The Bible, as we well know now, and from those of you who have been watching this channel, from those of you who have been studying all of this information, have come to understand that the host of Satan is comprised of fallen angels and demons. Fallen angels and demons can take many shapes, many forms, many variations. They're also not all-powerful. They're also not omniscient. They're not omnipresent. They're not any of those things. Therefore, they are simply beings who are on a higher level of knowledge, and they do have a culture, a structure, even weaknesses, and even an insatiable need to murder the human race. These are beings who dine and drink on the blood and flesh of the human race. They perpetrated the sins against the human race to get them to fall. They have done many things since the beginning of time and will continue to do nefarious things all the way to the end of time. A lot of people tend to think that these demonic entities are aliens. They tend to think that they are from another world or galaxy or said something of this sort, and thus they become the apologetic persons for these demonic entities. They want people to think that they could be somehow friendly, or they could be somehow reached, or they could be somehow misunderstood, or there could be some simple explanation to some of their most controversial activities. In this video, I'm going to show you these controversial activities, because I believe these controversial activities is nothing but a living nightmare upon your senses. Now, I will leave that for you to decide whether if you think that such beings are friendly or such beings have good intent toward the human race. So, with that being said, let us start with this particular photograph here. The Bible teaches us that demonic entities, one of the places they often like to dwell was near tomb areas. The Israelites in the past could not live near tomb areas because they were afraid that by living near tomb areas, many of them would become demonically possessed or attacked by a demon. They were very convinced that demons of many various forms and shapes dwelt among these tomb areas. Now, alien believers will look at this and say this is an alien. But why does this alien is hanging around the gravesite in a manner that is very much known under biblical parameters? It is dwelling there because it is a habitat that it calls its home. The Bible talked about giants, and sometimes we can capture them. Sometimes really out of nowhere. A man who is normally sitting on a hill stands up and begins to grow in a metamorphosis type of way. And we ask ourselves, well, it doesn't look like much. He's just standing there on a hill. And perhaps we can even say the same thing about this. When we find photos from the government of things they should not be involved in, like the capturing of demonic Nephilim type creatures, like this one. And we tend to ask ourselves, why is this activity even known? Or why does it even have to go on? And should we even feel sorry for said being that has been incarcerated? Or even when we go underground and we engage in archaeology or we explore the depths of the underworlds of the earth, we're often not alone, because we tend to run into things that are baffling, that are a total nightmare on our mind and our senses. And we wonder what's beyond the darkness. What is there? Could we find friendly conversation? Could we find some secrets or something of these treasures? Or will we be outright murdered? Outright have our flesh and body mutilated and be stomped on and eaten like dinner? The past also rings clear of these entities. The past tells us they often like to pose as spacemen. They often like to come off that way. They often would convince people that they were friendly demonic entities. But everywhere they went, they've always brought death, destruction, confusion, corruption, and some of the most notorious and nefarious signs ever seen on this particular planet and even on outer worlds as well. Why are they so interested in us, is the question. Why are they so interested in us? If they have their own society, if they have their own planet, if they are from this particular thing, why are they so interested in us? Why can't they leave us alone? Or why can't they just be honest? Or why can't they just appear like normal people do? That is because they are deceivers. That is because they are liars. And that is because they have a lot of things they are trying to hide from you, and a lot of things that you may not be able to comprehend due to the fact a lot of you, and not those of you who know the truth, but for those who do not, tend to think that these things are friendly, that these things need an explanation. But I want you to understand something about what is called the advancement of the mind. A truly advanced culture, to say a culture that's so advanced it could somehow get over all the obstacles that is within the universe to come all the way over here and do the kind of sneaky things they do, does not equate to a civilized, sophisticated, advanced culture. An advanced culture is simply to say, not a culture that can develop technology, but a culture that presents its actions through the uses of how they use their said technology. Meaning an advanced culture wouldn't be involved in abduction, it wouldn't be involved in murder, it wouldn't be involved in lying and intrigue, it would not be favoring one group over another, it would not approve of many violent actions, and it definitely would not experiment on people against their will or do things to them. An advanced culture does not do that. The human race is not an advanced culture. The human race, according to the Bible, is a sinful culture. And only God can reveal knowledge to prevent mankind from going, well, completely into the dark realms of their minds. Satan, however, fell from an advanced culture, fell from the spiritual realm, fell from the highest culture, to end up degraded, to end up degenerated. And this is the essence of sin. Now I'm going to show you some photographs where I would like for you guys to take caution and beware. Some of these photographs I'm going to show you are quite graphic, so I just want to pre-warn you. If you have children, I would suggest that they do not see these photographs. If you do want them to see it, I do suggest you be with them with it. If you are children watching this video without your parents at this particular portion of the video, I would suggest that you turn off the video. So with that being said, let's talk about this phenomenon of violating human beings and violating their rights and terrifying them to no end. So let's talk about this particular photograph captured here. Now, I want you to kind of reason with yourself here. We see an alien being, as you want to call that, kidnapping a person. Now, if this being comes from an advanced world, which is to say alien, why does he need to do that? What is the point in doing that? If he has everything together, if he is, intelligent and has the higher calling of wisdom, what is the point of all of this? Why violate this person's body for experimentation and study? If you can already figure out that this person would be terrified and traumatized by what you're doing. Let's talk about what they do to our animals. What is the point of doing that to animals? Why take them out from their pasture and terrify them and drag them up through many, many feet into the air? What is the point of doing that? Why would they not understand that that would terrify lower life forms? What would be the point? Let's talk about some of the testimony of persons who have had many various encounters. First, I'm going to show some of the drawings of their testimonies, which is based on. So I'm going to show you the drawings that's based on their testimony, explain some of the background to it. So in this particular testimony, this man was describing how entities would appear in his room. When they did, they used to sell him on a lot of religious doctrine. They used to tell him about the end of the world. They would tell him about Jesus, heaven and hell, and the end times, and things of this sort. So for so-called alien beings, they seem to be, well, quite religious, but religious in a different doctrine that is outside of the Bible. The Apostle Paul warned us that if anything that came from even an inhuman source preaches a doctrine different from the doctrine that you've accepted in the Word, you must rebuke them, beware them, not listen to them, have nothing to do with them. We are tested in this life because we live in the mystery of iniquity, where Satan would have certain reign over certain parameters of human life, and we are tested every day. And here this man is tested to believe their alien crap, or to believe what his conscience is telling him. Take this particular incident. Happened from a famous incident that took place many decades ago, a few decades ago. It involved a couple where one of the couple, named Betty, described when she was abducted, she had encountered a group of them looking at a particular star map, and they were talking about all the things they were going to do in order to conquer the worlds that they were seeing. She found them to be hostile, she found them to be arrogant, and she found them to be not what they appear to be. Take this particular incident, for instance. This man here one day was fishing, minding his own business, until suddenly he saw a bright light overtake him. And then what happened was two beings emerged from the water. They didn't even emerge from the ship. They emerged from under the water. And they came up from the water, and one of them held the man in place while the other one boarded his little boat to hold him in place right before they abducted him. This particular incident was from a well-known testimony as well. This woman encountered a demonic entity that didn't look like your average gray, froggy-like demonic creatures, but it was depicted, and it's anciently called the Nordic. And they're usually very tall, very fair-skinned entities with usually white or blonde hair, with very bright blue eyes. And they often have children around them that look very much like the Greys and other smaller type entities, and they tend to hang around these Nordics. And what she came into was this interdimensional reality, which is far different from a planet. This next one is quite graphic, so I would like for you to kind of beware. But this is simply a representation of what a person saw when he was abducted. First of all, let me fix the light here. First of all, he saw a woman giving birth to an entity that had a full head within her womb, and this demonic entity was using the device to be able to see into her stomach so that he can evaluate this demonic entity he was creating within her. These people were forced to have sex in front of these entities while another victim had his penis experimented on. And then over here we had people basically being disemboweled while demonic entities were moving through various dimensions while other nefarious things were happening outside of the ship. So imagine seeing a scene like this and trying to explain it to a local church near you. Also, many abduction victims had certain items removed from their skin. This is one of the implants many abduction victims will tend to get. They're kind of rubbery, organic technology, and it's made from a method we have absolutely no idea how is said method. They are usually quite very small, as you can see. This is a close-up shot of one. Many people have these implants inside them and they don't even know it, which is very, very sad. These are some other variations of these implants, as we can see here. Now this was the most horrific implant I've probably ever seen. This guy literally had a drill put into his spine, and this is what it looked like when it was removed. And this is made from a metal and an alloy that is unknown to this planet. And we have also the same deal with a lot of these chips. You notice what these chips look like, by the way, some of these implants. They look very much like the RFID chips that I showed you. That's because the RFID technology came from guess who? Because the demonic realm, Satan, has been putting implants in people before any RFID chips were pretty much announced. Now that you've seen some of the drawings and representations and real implants, now it's my unfortunate duty to show you just a few of these abduction photographs, and I would like for you guys to understand a lot of this is very horrific, so you've been forewarned. This was an abduction victim taken by your so-called aliens. Now I want you to take a very good look at this. You can already see that it had surgical operations done to the victim that is beyond what medical science can do. All the blood is drained out of his body. Organs were removed by a method that is unknown to this planet. He has burn marks and puncture marks that are also registered with alloy and materials that is unknown to this planet. Look at the expression on his face. That expression is usually accompanied by homicide investigators as being the fact he was severely tortured before death. So when you really take a good look at this, you got to ask yourself, why would an advanced society do that? What is the point of doing that? Also, why would this advanced society do this to this person and then just dump the body out there in the open like that? According to military science, that tactic is done to leave intimidation upon the citizens who will find it. This is terrible. This is the lower extremity of said victim. They actually experimented on the genital parts of this victim, removing it by a method that is unknown. And you could see the hole marks within the stomach and hip areas, as they were very interested in the sexual organs of this victim to harvest whatever chemical reactions or parts they were seeking to exploit. They also do this to animals as well. You fix the light here. You might remember that cow that was taken up in the air. Well, this is how they end up looking like when some of them are dropped back down to earth. This cow also has the expression that it was tortured before death. All the blood was drained out of its body by a method that is unknown to planet Earth. It also has burn marks and certain types of chemical materials and other components that are not from Earth. It also had organs removed by a method that is unknown to Earth. And it was viciously cut from the inside out. As you can see here, it too also had its genital parts removed. Anus and also genital area was removed, as well as if it was also experimented on in such a way while being tortured, and such parts were removed by a method that is unknown to us today. This last photograph was given to us by an Italian woman who one time filmed a demonic UFO encounter where she basically stated that she was impregnated by these entities. She had demanded the doctors to remove whatever it was that was within her stomach. The doctors did not believe her, but then this is what they remove out of her stomach. This was actually inside, growing as an embryo inside a human female. A human female who stated over and over again she was abducted prior and had visitations by demonic entities. And this is what they stuck inside of her. The Italian scientists could not figure it out. They don't know how on earth this happened. They do actually think this could have just been her baby somehow deformed, but as you can see, this is not a human being. They really don't know what it is. The Bible tells us all about this in a Pacific chapter in Genesis. This has been our Shield of the Sun video. If you'd like to donate to Shield of the Sun, please send it to the name Miguel Jimenez, which is spelled Migueljimenez at P.O. Box 39204, Charlotte, North Carolina 28278. You can also purchase the books written by me, Michael Herr, at www.lulu.com. I would like for you all to very much take care of each other, and I will see you next video.